Okay, part 2 of the chapter, Dear Theologian, from the book Losing Faith in Faith, written by Dan Barker. Oh, and what you're watching, that's the start of the movie Thor. I just think it's really cool in the loop that it's in. You can be the hammer going through space. Okay, so this is a letter from God. This is God talking. My second question is this: what's it all about? Maybe I made myself. Maybe some other God made me. Maybe you made me. Let's put that aside for now. I'm here now. Why am I here? Many of you look up to me for purpose in life, and I have often stated that your purpose in life is to please me. Read Revelation 4:11. If your purpose is to please me, what is my purpose? To please myself? Is that all there is to life? If I exist for my own pleasure, then this is selfish. It makes it look as if I created you merely to have some living toys to play with. Isn't there some principle that I can look up to? Something to admire, adore, and worship? Am I consigned for eternity to sit here and amuse myself with the worship of others, or to worship myself? What's the point? I have read your writings on the meaning of life, and don't misunderstand me. They make sense in the theological context of human religious goals, even if they don't have much practicality in the real world. Many of you feel that your purpose in life is to achieve perfection. Since you humans fall way short of perfection by your own admission, and I agree, then self-improvement provides you with a quest. It gives you something to do. Someday you hope to be as perfect as you think I am. But since I am already perfect, by definition, then I don't need such a purpose. I'm just sort of hanging out, I guess. Yet I still wonder why I'm here. It feels good to exist. It feels great to be perfect, but it gives me nothing to do. I created the universe with all kinds of natural laws that govern everything from quarks to galactic clusters, and it runs okay on its own. I had to make these laws, otherwise I would be involved with a lot of repetitive busy work, such as pulling light rays through space, yanking falling objects down to the earth, sticking atoms together to build molecules, and a trillion other boring tasks more worthy of a slave than a master. You have discovered most of these laws, and might be on the verge of putting the whole picture together. And once you have done that, you will know what I know, that there is nothing in the universe for me to do. It's boring up here. I could create more universes and more laws, but what's the point? I've already done universes. Creation is like sneezing or writing short stories. It just comes out of me. I could go on an orgy of creation. Create, create, create. After a while, a person can get sick of the same thing, like when you eat a whole box of chocolates and discover that the last piece doesn't taste as good as the first. Once you have had 10 children, do you need 20? I'm asking you, not the Pope. If more is better, then I am obligated to continue until I have fathered an infinite number of children and an endless number of universes. If I must compel myself, then I am a slave. Many of you assert that it is inappropriate to seek purpose within yourself, that it must come from outside. I feel the same way. I can't merely assign purpose to myself. If I did, then I would have to look for my reasons. I would have to come up with an account of why I chose one purpose over another, and if such reasons came from within myself, I would be caught in a loop of self-justified rationalizations. Since I have no higher power of my own, then I have no purpose, nothing to live for. It's all meaningless. Sure, I can bestow meaning on you, pleasing me, achieving perfection, whatever, and perhaps that is all that concerns you. But doesn't it bother you just a little that the source of meaning for your life has no source of its own? And if this is true, then isn't it also true that ultimately you have no meaning for yourself either? If it makes you happy to demand an external reference point on which to hang your meaningfulness, Why would you deny the same to me? I also want to be happy, and I want to find that happiness in something other than myself. Is that a sin? On the other hand, if you think I have the right and the freedom to find happiness in myself and in things I create, then why should you not have the same right, you whom I created in my image? I know that some of you have proposed a solution to this problem. You call it love. You think I am lonely up here, and that I created humans to satisfy my longing for a relationship with something that is not myself. Of course, this will never work because it is impossible for me to create something that is not part of myself. But let's say that I try anyway. Let's say that I create this mechanism called free will, which imparts to humans a choice. If I give you the freedom, though this is stretching the word because there is nothing outside of my power, not to love me, then if some of you, a few of you, even one of you chooses to love me, I have gained something I might not have had. I have gained a relationship with someone who could have chosen otherwise. This is called love, you say. This is a great idea on paper. In real life, however, it turns out that millions, billions of people have chosen not to love me, and that I have to do something with these infidels. I can't just uncreate them. If I simply destroy all the unbelievers, I may as well have created only believers in the first place. Since I am omniscient, I would know in advance which of my creations would have a tendency to choose me, and this would produce no conflict with free will, since those who would not have chosen me would have been eliminated simply by not having been created in the first place. I could call it supernatural selection. This seems much more compassionate than hell. You can't have a love relationship with someone who is not your equal. If you humans don't have a guaranteed eternal soul like myself, then you are worthless as companions. If I can't respect your right to exist independently and your right to choose something other than me, then I couldn't love those of you who do choose me. I would have to find a place for all those billions of eternal souls who reject me, whatever their reasons might be. Let's call it hell, a place that is not God, not me. I would have to create this inferno, otherwise neither I nor the unbelievers could escape each other. Let's ignore the technicalities of how I could manage to create hell and then separate it from myself, apart from whom nothing else exists. It's not as though I could create something and then simply throw it away. There is no cosmic trash heap. The point is that since I am supposedly perfect, this place of exile must be something that is the opposite. It must be ultimate evil, pain, darkness, and torment. If I created hell, then I don't like myself. If I did create a hell, then it certainly would not be smart to advertise that fact. How would I know if people were claiming to love me for my own sake, or simply to avoid punishment? How can I expect someone to love me who is afraid of me in the first place? The threat of eternal torment might scare some people into obedience, but it does nothing to inspire love. If you treated me with threats and intimidations, I would have to reconsider my admiration for your character. How would you feel if you had brought some children into the world knowing that they were going to be tormented eternally in a place you built for them? Could you live with yourself? Wouldn't it have been better not to have brought them into the world in the first place? I know that some of you feel that hell is just a metaphor. Do you feel the same way about heaven? Anyway, this whole love argument is wrong. Since I am perfect, I can't lack anything. I can't be lonely. I don't need to be loved. I don't even want to be loved, because to want is to lack. To submit to the potential of giving and receiving love is to admit that I can be hurt by those who choose not to love me. If you can hurt me, I am not perfect. If I can't be hurt, I can't love. If I ignore or erase those who do not love me, sending them off to hell or oblivion, then my love is not sincere. If all I am doing is throwing the dice of free will and simply reaping the harvest of those who choose to love me, then I am a selfish monster. If you played such games with people's lives, I would call you insensitive, conceited, insecure, selfish, and manipulative. I know you have tried to get me off the hook. You explain that yours truly is not responsible for the sufferings of unbelievers because rejection of God is their choice, not mine. They have a corrupt human nature, you explain. Well, who gave them their human nature? If certain humans decide to do wrong, where do they get the impulse? If you think it came from Satan, who created Satan? And why would some humans be susceptible to Satan in the first place? Who created that susceptibility? If Satan was created perfect and then fell, where did the flaw of perdition come from? If I am perfect, then how in God's name did I end up creating something that would not choose perfection? Someone once said that a good tree cannot bring forth evil fruit. Here is the title for your next theological tome. Was Eve perfect? If she was, she would not have taken the fruit. If she wasn't, I created imperfection. Maybe you think all of this gives me a purpose, putting Humpty Dumpty back together, but it actually gives me a headache. If you won't permit me a simple headache, then how can you allow me the pain of lost love? I could not live with myself if I thought my actions were causing harm to others. Well, I shouldn't say that. Since I think you created me, I suppose I should let you tell me what I could live with. If you think it is consistent with my character to tolerate love and vengeance concurrently, then I have no choice. If you are my creator, then I could spout tenderness out of one side of my mouth and brutality out of the other. I could dance with my lover on the bones of my errant children and pretend to enjoy it. I would be very human indeed. I have 1,000 more questions, but I hope you will allow me one more. Okay, end of part 2.